Well, hello, everybody. It is the Dennis and Andy Show movie review. We are back and we are reviewing You People, the new movie that dropped on Netflix this past Friday, starring Jonah Hill, Eddie Murphy, Nia Long, who we just saw in the movie Missing. Go check out that review. And it dropped on Netflix. I was really excited about it because of Eddie Murphy being in a movie again, and who doesn't love Eddie Murphy? The trailer looked good. It looked like from the trailer, a very un-PC movie, almost. I got a feel from the trailer, Dennis, of really a movie that you might see 20 years ago, 30 years ago. And I was like, wow, this could be good.
Right? There was a lot of excitement. Oh, dude, it's dropping. We got to watch it. It's Eddie Murphy. And I was like, with a cast like that, Eddie Murphy and Neil Long as one set of parents, David Duchovny, Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh,
Honestly, it just felt like a perfect combination. Jonah Hill, one set, the premise is, boy, girl, meet. It's what every movie's always about, boy, girl. They meet, they fall in love, and they want to get married.
And then you've got the obligatory okay, our parents have to meet. And we've seen this before. This isn't anything new. It's like Dennis said, boy girl meet, and we've even seen this type of movie before where it could be an American person meets somebody from another country, and the parents have to meet, and of course there's conflict because they don't understand each other. This is set in LA, and it's Jonah Hill meets this black girl, and the parents have to meet. And the one thing I found kind of strange is they were dating for 6 months before they even met each other's parents. Not even the parents meeting together, but before he introduced her, and vice versa, which, Dennis, I know we're kind of old. We've been married each for almost a combined total of 60 years we've been married. So, maybe that's how maybe that's how the kids do it these days. They wait that long time.
Old and outdated.
The problem with this movie, okay, so Jonah Hill, real quick, he's either a financial advisor or something like that. But his dream is to be a podcaster, and he podcasts with a friend of his. His friend is a black female. I can't remember the actor's name.
Sam J actually plays Mo.
Sam J, that's right, plays Mo. Yeah. Got to be honest, I've never seen this person before as an actor. So, that was nice because you could believe the character more because you're like, oh, it's not some known person.
Right. Like some of the uncles and aunts, Rhea Perlman winds up Elliot Gould. You recognize a lot from the Jewish side of the family. You recognize a lot of the actors, and you're like, oh my God, there's just one after another. There's small roles, but I was like, that's really good. On the African American side, Mike Epps, he's Uncle EJ, and so they've got some good names and things that really make a lot of sense in here. So we were really kind of excited about this when they were getting together.
And Eddie Murphy is his real name. It's Woody, right? No.
You mean in his character name? It's Akbar.
No. Before he became Akbar.
Oh yeah, something like that. Because I think it was Woody. Because we were thinking.
Yeah, I think it's Woody. So Eddie Murphy's was originally, I believe, Woody. Don't quote me. And then he switched over to becoming full Muslim, and his name's Akbar now. So 10 minutes into the movie, my wife and daughter both wanted to bail. I almost did too, to be honest. I didn't because I knew Dennis and I were going to review it. So I stuck it out like Dennis did. Dennis told me his wife wanted to bail 10 minutes in too. I got to say, I was there was some racist stuff in the movie, and it takes a lot to offend me and Dennis, but there was just stuff in this movie. Mo, Jonah Hill's co-host, came off kind of racist. And I don't know if the writers, Jonah Hill wrote it with somebody else, and I don't know if they thought, well, we can get away with this because it's a black person, and nobody would think that's racist. But no, it was.
So the problem with this movie is it was written to be it's supposed to be a love story with all this social commentary, about social justice. So the premise of this is, the two sides, each of them thinks they're a bigger victim. Well, the Jewish side had the Holocaust, the black side had the slavery, and this was supposed to be like this fun little rivalry between the two, but it gets them upset. But the entire premise behind it was that Jonah Hill, they were supposed to be in love. The problem is there was no chemistry with them at all in this. I mean, we were sitting there watching it when they actually got hitched. And Lauren London, I wasn't very familiar with. She's adorable. She's cute. She's got big dimples. And
she's really, yeah. She did a good job. She's really cute.
But
like you said,
Jonah Hill and Lauren had nothing. I didn't care that they got together. I'm like, why are you getting married? There's no love there. The entire relationship was completely off kilter. Nothing felt true. When they wound up breaking up, when they wound up, later trying to get back together.
Well, there's the one point
chemistry at all.
And the movie was really full on the side of Eddie Murphy's side, his part of the family, just really stereotypical, over the top.
Both sides are completely stereotypes.
Yeah, and it's
portraits.
I don't know if that's how it is in LA, because maybe that's how Jonah Hill, when he was writing this with whoever else wrote it, and I am just blanking on the person's name. Maybe they in LA, that is their perception of the races and stuff. And
Kenya Barris wrote it.
Who?
Kenya Barris. So I
Kenya Barris. Okay.
So that we could give credit where credit is due.
Yes. So maybe that is their perception of how both of these groups act. But there's a scene in the movie with Mo where they're doing their podcast, her and Jonah Hill. And Mo just comes right out and says, well, black people and white people can never get along. And I mean, right there, I'm just like, and Mo, and I looked this up, Dennis, this blew my mind. The actor is actually 41 years old. So, I mean, I thought the person was in their 20s because she just looks so young. Jonah Hill, on the other hand, is 39 and he's not aging gracefully. But, because he looked older than 39 or looks older than 39. But anyhow, he said that and that blew my mind. And honestly, all the division that they were playing up in this movie, not just amongst Jewish people and black people, but just whites and blacks themselves, all the division, I was thinking of, and I'm going, this division wasn't there, and I might get crap for this, but I don't remember this division in the 80s. I don't remember this level of division in the 90s. I was just like, where are they? Like I said, Jonah Hill wrote it. So he's coming off of, obviously, I would think, a lived experience. Same with his co-writer. And this is, and Jonah Hill 20 years ago was 19. So they're coming off of what they've grown up with, and I guess, and what they see. And then maybe for the movie, going, well, let's just kick it up a notch because it's a comedy, and that's what you do. You want to kick things up a notch, but you don't want to kick it up a notch to where people are uncomfortable and thinking, wow, this is really coming across offensive and in parts racist. And like the barbershop scene,
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy takes Jonah Hill into a barbershop, and the barbershop has always been portrayed in black neighborhoods and stuff as a community area where guys will go to hang out, obviously get their hair cut, but even if not getting their hair cut, they'll just go and hang out, and it's a social area. That's fine. There was the movie. Wasn't there the movie Barbershop or whatever, the
Oh
comedy back in the
yeah,
day?
that was great.
Yeah, that was great. But this barbershop, you're like, whoa, you
Well,
know?
the problem is, Eddie Murphy played an asshole. I mean, there's just no other way to do it. He was this steely, gazed man who disapproved of everything and didn't want to do it. They walked in and it was all about social justice. He's wearing the shirt talking about, that they murdered this particular person.
Was that a
And
real, that had to be a real person, right?
I don't know, don't know.
I'm going to look real
I
fast. You
don't
keep
care
talking. I'm going to
because
look. I
the
think it
whole
was.
movie was cringe. Everything about it. This is supposed to be a romantic comedy. The only comedy was you saw in the trailer when they went to the basketball hoop. And that was kind of funny because Eddie Murphy's trying to make Jonah Hill's character look really bad. And, he can't play basketball against all of these guys in the hood because, this is all they do. And Jonah Hill gets pushed down and bumped a little bit, and he's laughing and recording it. And you see that from the trailer. And then Jonah Hill goes off and winds up being an incredible basketball.
Yeah, and that was one of the funnier, that was definitely one of the better scenes in the movie because it was that twist. It was unexpected. Jonah Hill's great at playing ball. He makes friends with all these guys at the end. They're hugging it out and stuff. Eddie Murphy's filming it. You can even see the amount of likes he's getting because he's live streaming it. But when Jonah Hill starts doing good, he's like, oh, and he puts the camera down. And at the end of the game, Jonah Hill does, walk up to him. He's like, hey, did you get all that or whatever? And Eddie Murphy, it was funny. He's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, whatever, because that was good. But other than that, you're right. Eddie Murphy played an asshole. If Jonah Hill, if there was another character in the movie that Eddie Murphy definitely wanted his daughter to get together with, a young black man. And so right out of the gate, Eddie Murphy's just, pretty much racist because it's like, whoa, white guy. And it wasn't comedic. I mean,
No.
it was just so, it was not comedic. And then, of course, Julie Louis-Dreyfus is going out of her way to befriend what's going to be her new daughter-in-law, Jonah Hill's fiance, by trying to over the top fit in with black references and mentioning like
nothing about. I mean,
she
again,
right she knows nothing about. Now the thing
the whole
is,
thing is a trope.
yeah, the whole thing, it was a trope, but there definitely are people like that, but it was so, once again, stereotypical and over the top that it took the fun out of it. David Duchovny's part was actually pretty small in the movie, but at least when he was in it, I didn't think he was really over the top. I actually liked David Duchovny's role.
He was about the only likable character in there, really, and he brought a little bit of levity to the situation because Julia Louis-Dreyfus was always cringe, and then you had like him just saying and playing a piano, not being able to hold a tune, and but just trying to make the new potential daughter-in-law fit in. And whereas Julie Louis-Dreyfus was cringe, and this is what they think is supposed to be funny.
And the other thing too is
they don't have a grasp on what most of America is about, because what was displayed here is not how most of America is or how the mainstream media portrays it. It was just ridiculous.
well, no, that's how. Well, okay, and maybe this is what you meant. You're 100% correct. There's the writers are so off base on how most of America is. So maybe that's how it is in LA, right?
Maybe.
So they're totally off base on how most of America is, but is this what you meant? It is how the mainstream portrays it, though.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the
Right.
mainstream
That
media
the way
portrays
the
it
mainstream media portrays it, yeah, the way the mainstream media portrays the divisiveness is totally how this movie portrayed it, but not how most of America does. The other thing too is Jonah Hill's this financial guy. He must do really well because, he's dating, he's dating his fiance, and she basically, and they buy a house together like that.
right.
So that's like, wow. And in LA now, she's a designer. That's what she does. And they buy a house. Now we know LA's not cheap. So he must be making bank as a financial guy because they buy this house together, and then she basically, he wants to be a podcaster, and she gets him to quit his job so he can just focus on podcasting full time, which means he must have some good money in the bank because at that point his podcasting isn't pulling in any money. They're just recording in a room. They're not visual. It's just an audio podcast. They're just trying to build the brand. So he's got to have money sacked away. They don't really delve into that. When it comes to her character and her career as a designer, set designer, they only show one interview where she's pitching this idea to these two guys, and you would recognize both actors. It's not even worth getting into who the two actors are. You'd recognize them. And she's doing her pitch. And once again, it just goes racist because both the guys have Harvard shirts on, and they mentioned something about Harvard, her going to Harvard, and they're all excited for her pitch and stuff. And she goes, "No, I didn't go to Harvard. I went to Howard." And Howard is a very popular school for African Americans and stuff. And she makes a joke going, "It's kind of like the black people's Harvard." And then the two guys look at each other with this look on their face of like, "Oh, we made a mistake." And then, cut back to being at home, and she's disappointed and ripping up her presentation stuff or whatever. And Jonah Hill's like, what happened? And she's like, "I didn't get the job." And she doesn't go into them being racist or anything, but it's really beating you over the head. She didn't get the job because they thought she went to Harvard. She went to Howard. She didn't. Boom. Doesn't matter how good your stuff is. But Jonah Hill does something nice. He's like, "Well, I have some friends. I could get you in front of some of my friends and whatnot and hook you up," which they're a couple. That's what couples do. And right there, boom, she just takes it right to, "I don't need your help. What are you saying? Because I'm black, I can't get a job? I don't need your help." And it's just like,
myself up my entire life. I don't need somebody to.
and it's like, no. And then Jonah Hill obviously says the right thing, which is, "No, that's not my intent. It's just, I love you. We're a couple. I'm trying to help you out." And then she just is like, "Oh, I can't even deal with you right now," and storms off. And it's just like, okay, boom.
Worst couple ever.
Yeah, worst couple. Why are you together?
There is. The characterizations are terrible. The dialogue that they wrote was terrible. The chemistry is non-existent between them. If it wasn't for the fact that, like, we get a cameo of Hal Linden, he's getting really old. As soon as he walked in, "Oh my God, Barney Miller! Look at that,
dude!" That's what I said. I said, "Oh my God, is that Barney Miller?" Yeah. But that was so brief, it wasn't even funny. So.
Right, but it was, if it wasn't for these little cameos, these little member berries, Elliot Gould when he's on there, I mean, this movie had almost no redeeming qualities. It is not a romantic comedy with social overtones, which is what it wanted to be. It really wanted to be this deep movie of social commentary written by people who don't really understand social commentary. And it's supposed to be a romantic comedy written by people who obviously don't know romance, because there was no romance in his whatsoever. My wife couldn't even stand it. She goes,
"Well, even the way they met, The way they met was Jonah Hill was leaving work, and she's going to work in her little Fiat, little car, and she pulls up in front of the building because she's getting lost or whatever, or she's going to a meeting and she's getting lost. So Jonah Hill comes out of the building to go to, because he's leaving work, and he gets in her car, the back seat. And she's like, oh my God, get out of my car. What are you going to do? And he's basically like, what? Basically, he mistook her for the Uber driver. And right out of the gate, she's like, oh, is that because I'm black? And it's like, and he has to point out, no, it's because my Uber driver drives a Fiat and is a black woman. And she goes, oh, so we all look the same? And he goes, no, you guys could be sisters. Look. And he shows her the phone. And of course, we get to see it. And they could be the same person. But right out of the gate, her defenses just go right up, to where it's because we all look the same. It's because, I must be subservient, be the driver. When it's like, okay, look, I've taken an Uber before. Have I gotten in the wrong one? No, I haven't. However, if for some reason my Uber says it's going to be a Toyota Corolla, and my driver is, let's just say it's a white dude with red hair, and I look at my phone and I look at the car that's pulled up and it's a white dude with red hair, I'm probably going to get in it. And then we'd have our little, oops, wrong car show, whatever. And it's just that simple. But instead, it was just this, once again, forced interaction, and everything felt forced. Anyhow, let's rate it.
There was no authenticity to this movie at all, from beginning to end. It didn't matter the emotional scenes. There was no emotion. When they broke up, we didn't care. You were supposed to care about the couple and want to cry. Could care less. I wound up talking to a number of other people who had seen it, and of course, we've got friends across the entire spectrum. Nobody has enjoyed this, and I'm not any different.
The funny thing is, when they broke up, that was forced, because I've honestly never, I was like, why are you breaking up over this?
Over that, right.
Oh my God, our in-laws are going to take a while to get along, is basically, the in-laws weren't getting along. So that's why they break up.
Through it, that whole thing was not at all.
No, because honestly,
life plays out.
There are tons of people whose in-laws don't get along, and the couple loves each other, and they're like, that's cool, though they eventually will. So that was a bunch of crap. Anyhow, I'm giving it, I'll go first. I'm giving it, I don't know if I've ever rated something this low. I really thought about it. I was really torn. Well, I wasn't torn, I should say, but I don't want to put so much thought into what's supposed to be a romantic comedy where you're supposed to walk away going, nah, it was fun. But I'm giving it a 4.0. It was bad. I would, unless you want to torture yourself, great, watch it, but I would find something else. So 4.0.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 3.5. I would avoid this at all costs. Like I said, if it weren't for the few cameos, the only reason I'm going this high was they had a number of adorable cameos and the basketball scene. That was the highlight of the entire movie. Otherwise, I would probably give this a 2. It was just garbage. It was a waste of my time. And it was horribly written, horribly acted. For all of the anticipation I had for all the great actors and actresses in this, I mean, honestly, Eddie Murphy, I think you forgot what comedy is, because if that's what you thought this was that you signed up for, none of it was delivered. This was crap. Avoid it at all costs. Don't waste your time.
Yeah, I thought I told Dennis I was really surprised Eddie Murphy took this role, to be honest. After reading the script, I would have thought he would see how bad this is.
Well, we always have to look up to see. Now I'm going to do Rotten Tomatoes. The critics are giving it a 45, and the audience is giving it a 43.
Damn, we're right there.
Yep.
Once again, Dennis and I nailed it.
Don't agree with some of that stuff, and I was just curious, like the ones that actually liked it. This film is heavy-handed and didn't have enough accountability, but it had some sweet and funny moments. That is no reason to give that a. I think we basically just said that, but they gave it a positive review. That's not positive review. You basically gave a positive review a score on a negative review. Anyway, Once again, critics, people, everybody hates this movie.
But you know what is positive? Kor-Drath the Reckoning.
Always.
Kor-Drath the Reckoning is a book with no social justice type story. It is just a fun action adventure. It is a popcorn movie in a graphic novel form. Conan meets Game of Thrones meets Dungeons and Dragons, the barbarianism of Conan, the levels and layers of storytelling that Game of Thrones had throughout the seasons with the layers being pulled back, and the magicalness of D&D, all wrapped into a 76-page graphic novel. 5 different covers to choose from. If you want, you can click on read pages 1 through 8 here, which will take you to the Kor-Drath website, which has more art and more stuff to tell you about the story. Kor-Drath belongs to the Red Lions tribe. His tribe gets slaughtered when he's out on an adventure with the sorceress Adriana. They come back to the devastation, which sets off the adventure to find out why. Who did this? Why did they decimate his tribe? To find out, you need to read the book. We've got a couple different t-shirts. We've got a beanie. So much stuff for you to look at in this campaign. It's not just the book. It's even a game. That's right. Our buddy, our friend, my co-creator and pal, Dennis Turner, is taking the time. He's a dungeon master. He knows all the ins and outs. He is writing a game module that you can actually play with our characters or with your own characters that you might have made up for a different role-playing game. It is that functional. You guys will want to check this out. Isn't that right, Dennis?
Absolutely. So if you have backed it, great. If not, go check us out at Kor-Drath.com. Read the parody ad. It's very fun. And then if you've already backed it, thank you. And share it with your friends. We are knee deep in this right now, working on a lot of stuff behind the scenes. And we are getting closer and closer to the next stretch goal. So anyway, appreciate everything and hope you guys back it.
That's right. Until next time, check in for the next movie review. I know coming out this week is The Cabin movie by M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, The Knock at the Cabin Door, something like that. It's the movie about Armageddon.
That's right. So hopefully we'll get to catch it and review that one for you. Until next time, everybody, have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Live long and prosper.
That's right.
Retribution! Oh yeah, we want retribution!